guys, and welcome back to
His Will, Your Life.
My name is Addi.
And my name is Hannah.
And we are the hosts of this podcast, His Will, Your Life.
His Will, Your Life is a Christian podcast hosted by us, two teenage girls, to help other teenagers or people of any age to connect with God.
Today, we are discussing Hannah and her upcoming graduation from LUOA.
Yes, I'm finally graduating. It feels like it's been forever and like no time at all at the same time. Feels like I just started at Liberty. I started LUOA my freshman year, so fall of 2018. And it's been great. It was definitely a big change going from in-person school to online. I'm sure a lot of people dealt with that with COVID and probably know that it's a lot to figure out. I think one thing with LUOA that makes it harder is you don't actually talk to people. Like, I did not talk to anybody that I went to school with until this year. I've loved Liberty, though. Once I got used to it, once I got into the pattern and the schedule of doing school on my own, I've absolutely loved it. Loved being able to work ahead. And with Liberty, I got college credits, so I'm going into college as a sophomore this fall. I have not made a decision about college yet. I'm putting it off until the very last minute, apparently, because I have, 4 days to decide where I'm going to school this year. I've gotten a few scholarships. Right now I'm trying to decide between staying with Liberty online and going to Georgetown College in Georgetown, Kentucky. Depending on where I go, it'd be for a few different things, either physical therapy, like pre-physical therapy, and then I'd go on and get my doctorate, or creative writing if I go to Liberty. I really do want to become a physical therapist, but I also want to be a writer, so I can't decide. We'll see what happens in the next 4 days, where I've been praying about it a lot. We'll see where I feel called, because that's a very big thing. If you're graduating this year, make sure you're praying about all of your decisions, because you're going to face a lot in the next few months. Even if you're going into your senior year of high school in the next year or two, start praying, because there's a lot of big decisions and it's stressful, because it's scary to think that you can make the wrong decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the opposite place of Hannah, because I'm going into my senior year this summer, and it's weird with Liberty. Anybody else who's going to Liberty and going through the application process will understand this, but basically the process is broken up into 3 to 4 parts of doing your general application, and then having your residential interview over the phone, and then handing in your essays. And it's now optional for, I know my grade 23 students, of handing in your SAT scores for scholarships. But basically, the notion around it is once you've passed your residential interview, you're pretty much accepted into Liberty. You have to do something really stupid to not get accepted into Liberty if you passed your residential interview and, you submit your essays and everything. So I'm at that point where I passed my residential interview. I just have to submit my essays. And Hannah's right. Even if you choose just one college that you're going to, you're going to have to make so many decisions just going there. Like, it's often not talked about. Like, if you look up Liberty University or LUOA online, there's no information, which makes it really hard to know what you're getting yourself into. But if you choose to, let's say, go residentially to Liberty, you're going to have to choose a food plan. You're going to have to choose where you're going to stay. You're going to have to choose if you want to do all residential classes. You're going to have to choose if you want to do residential and online classes. So the point is, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you're going to have to make really hard decisions that are going to affect your future.
Yeah, and they're not cheap decisions either. College is expensive. No. I haven't gotten a full ride scholarship offer. I've gotten a full tuition scholarship offer where I'd still have to pay for housing and the meal plan and everything. And it's still expensive. Tuition is a big chunk of it, but it is still thousands of dollars a year just to live on a campus.
Absolutely. And at this time of April of 2022, I will state this just for the record in case anybody sees this in the future, but as of April 2022, Liberty is having an overflow of dorming students. And they're actually now supposedly paying students to live off campus. It's gotten to be that severe.
Yeah, Liberty's huge. I'm surprised they haven't had this problem before. Like, they've got a lot of dorms I haven't been there, but I've seen online how many dorms you can choose from.
Yeah.
But there are thousands. Well, let's see. Aren't they pushing almost 100,000 live? Or
they are pushing out almost
within
100,000,
Lynchburg?
yeah.
That's absolutely insane. And as somebody who doesn't like crowds, sounds awful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When I was there, I got to see mostly with where I was on campus, the Hill. And people describe the Hill as being huge. The Hill is 5 buildings. It's 5 to 6 buildings. It's not that big. It's maybe a football yard worth of dorms. It's not that big. You think, it's Liberty University, everything's going to be big, everything's going to be huge, but after you go and you look at campus, it's not that big, and you're surprised, how do they shove so many people on campus?
Yeah, I'm going for the first time in a week for graduation. So
that's where we'll meet, by the way. We will film it.
Yeah, we're finally meeting in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting going for the first time. Also, I don't care what you say. This is how everybody will know. If you're a CFA / non-Liberty student versus if you're a Liberty student. It is not the Reber Thomas Dining Hall. It is the Rot. Would just like to clarify that because I've heard so many mixed things. It is the Rot, and there will be a new Rot next year. Sorry, that bothers my soul when people say it's the Reber Thomas Dining Hall. No, and the food's horrible. You're paying for horrible food. I'm not even gonna lie.
You've got all the good information. If anybody's going to Liberty, just email at me, like, where can I eat? What's decent?
Yes, absolutely. Anywhere else on campus? Hey Cow at Montview Student Union. It's not talked about enough. As long as you get something vegan or veggie from there, you're good to go. Those burgers are the best. So good. And there's so many other places like that on campus. You don't have to go to the Rot. That should not be. You're still going to have to pay for it because that's what all the dining plans include. But you won't die, and you can use your Rot swipes at these other places. So it works out.
And that's another thing. If you're looking to go to college, go see colleges, even if it's not one that you want to go to, because college campuses, they all have similar things. Like, you're always going to have a dining hall, your dorms. So if you want to go to school, like, I'm in California, Liberty's in Virginia. If I wanted to go to Liberty but didn't have the money to go see it beforehand, I'd go see a school here just to get like the feeling of being on a college campus. I've been on several for scholarship interviews in the last few months in different places, and that's really helpful too. Like, I went to Baylor, and then I went to William Jessup, which is up near Sacramento, California. Those are 2 very different college campuses.
Yeah.
And having that kind of, to see the differences, you can decide kind of if you want more of smaller or bigger, just kind of what you like.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't visited that many college campuses because I kind of already knew I wanted to go to Liberty. It's just where I felt led to go. But when I was younger, I would do ballet at this one college called the College of New Jersey, also called Trenton State if you're from New Jersey. But it's just so different from Liberty that I don't know how anybody can make a decision if they're split between colleges. But going onto those campuses, seeing how life is while you're there, it makes a really big difference. And as cliche as it's going to sound, when you go onto that campus that you want to go to, you're going to know. You're going to know. It's like when you meet your soulmate, you're going to know. Yeah. And it's just such a calming feeling. You don't even feel like you just know that it's the campus. You just feel really calm and at peace there. And you're like, no matter what happens, even if I fail, at least I'm in a peaceful place.
Yeah, it's almost like walking into your house. Like, you just know.
Yeah.
You just feel like at home there.
Yeah, exactly. So we also wanted to discuss the pros and cons of LUOA, right?
Yes.
Yes. So if you go to LUOA, we would like this to be very clear. Your first week is going to suck and you're going to want to quit.
It was longer than that for me. If you only have a week of hardness, you're lucky.
Yes.
It's
Exactly.
they don't talk about it, but that transition, like even if you've been homeschooled, like your parents or whatever, it's still rough.
Yeah, nobody is gonna be able to prepare you for the workload that is gonna hit you and the intensity of what is gonna hit you. I'll never forget my worst class of sophomore year when I first started Liberty was U.S. history, which was really shocking to everybody in my family because I love history. But the issue was the lessons would take over an hour a day because of how much reading there was. And then you would have to do a quiz about it because that's how Liberty works. You do reading and then you do a knowledge test to like see how you're going. And it's not officially graded, but it's important to see where you are. And you usually only have 2 tries on it as well. So that makes it stressful.
Yeah, I think history was the class when I started my freshman year. I was in Virginia history, which if anybody's taken that, it's one of the easiest history classes you'll ever take. The way that class was structured was, okay, let me explain this first. LUOA has due dates, but they're not like strict. You can have it overdue. You just can't go 30 days without turning something in. But the way this class was structured, the quizzes were due on Wednesday. And there was a ton of reading. So I was trying to read like 4 chapters of this textbook Monday and Tuesday and doing 6 other classes. And I would just stress myself out so much about it. And I was trying to work ahead doing a bunch of extras so that, it wasn't saying that stuff was overdue because that little red minus stressed me out so much the first year. And now I'll see them and I'll be like, whatever, I'll get to it later.
Yes, I mean, that is a pro of Liberty that your counselor will not tell you until you call them having a panic attack or something of you have due dates, but they're more suggested than anything else. As long as you get it done before the course end date, that's what matters. It's going to be fine.
And that's all the due date is for. It's to give you kind of a schedule to finish on time. And you can fall back and then catch up however much you want. You can get ahead and finish early. I'm doing that. I'm finishing all of my classes 2 months early this year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I did sophomore year. I was able to work ahead. Don't ask me how I did it. I do not remember those last 3 months of sophomore year because it was just intense work. But that's the nice thing about Liberty is if you want to work ahead 3 months, finish, in January when your classes are due in June, they'll let you do that. It's perfectly fine. And it's wonderful. Or you can be like me, don't do this, not suggested, and don't do your work for 3-4 weeks, and now you have to get 3 modules done in 1 week. Don't do that, not suggested, because then you have to do a module a day.
If you do want to work ahead, I completely suggest planning it out, like day by day. Make a plan and stick to it, because that's the best way you're going to be able to get ahead.
Absolutely. That's a pro and a con to LUOA is you have to be very self-disciplined or have somebody very self-disciplined to help you with that. Otherwise, you're not going to do well at LUOA. I'm sorry. It's just the way the courses are structured, and it's to promote you learning how to be self-disciplined and planning and a good student. It's made that way so that you can learn certain skills that will help you later in life. And I can definitely say my time management that I've learned from my time management skills I've learned from LUOA have definitely helped me in many other things as well, and I'm very grateful for that. But it was a pain at the beginning to learn that and have to struggle through that, and nobody was there to say I get what you're going through.
Yeah, that was really hard too, was going from, I went to a little private Christian school in Alabama where I knew everybody, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting in this room in complete silence trying to read 300 pages of history in 2 days. And nobody else, I've never heard any other LUOA student say this, but I could not work in silence. Like, I have to have something else on. In those first few weeks, I was trying to do it in silence because I was like, we're quiet at school. You're not quiet at school. You learn that when you start doing stuff by yourself. It's never quiet. So, I listen to TV shows and stuff, which I don't recommend if you can't focus with words. Listen to instrumental music or something. Just try to listen to something I don't know, it just makes you feel like there's more people around you, I guess, and that you're not completely alone.
Yeah, I was in the same situation almost as Hannah, because before I went to LUA, I went to a very private school, which is almost outsourced homeschooling is what I usually entitle it as. But I was the only one there, and we learned while I was there, I can't focus in silence. It's impossible for me to focus in silence. I don't know what I'm going to do when I go to college, but I need music of some sort playing. Otherwise, I won't be able to get anything done. Or I need to be talking to somebody. I don't know what that is, but sometimes that works for certain people. I definitely don't suggest starting LUA in silence. At least have classical music on in the background. It will give you something for your mind to be drowning your distractions and your thoughts out. Because I think that's the biggest issue with silence, at least for me. I don't know about you, Hannah, but for me, my biggest thing is my thoughts, and my mind will just keep racing and racing and racing. Meanwhile, if I have music on, it fixates on that, so I don't have to think about those thoughts and I can focus on my work.
Exactly. I also have started listening to, I don't even know what they're called, the ambiance, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Where it's a library sounds or cafe sounds or whatever. Those are helpful because you don't have the words, because I know a lot of people get distracted by words in music or TV shows, but those are helpful. Just try different things too. Figure out what really works for you. And
that's sorry, what were you gonna say?
If you can do it in silence, do it. You're very lucky, and I don't think there's very many of you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really big, again, pro and con of LUA is you're able to, I'm not gonna say mess around, but you're able to experiment with different techniques for certain things. I know personally for myself, I have very great short-term memory. My long-term, though, it's out the window. So if I have to do a test, I'm better personally studying the day before and then taking the test. But most people are better studying long times in advance and then doing that. But I wouldn't have figured that out if it weren't for LUA, and that's what I think is a really big and important part of taking your time at LUA is just figuring out how you learn and what's the best studying techniques for you. That way, when you go into college, you know how you work, you know how you're going to do things, and it's going to make it much easier. You're not going to be like other college students struggling to say, what's my learning techniques? How do I focus? How do I manage my time? There's so many classes, but then I also have a social life to balance. And that's a good thing about LUA is you learn those time management skills, you learn self-discipline, and you learn how you work and how you operate. Sorry, I'll stop laughing now.
You're good. I'll say one other thing. If you have social media, there are a bunch of Liberty group chats. If you're somebody who likes to talk to people in similar situations, try to get in one of those. I will say, some of them are filled with drama. Yeah, pick wisely.
That's true.
If you want to get out of one, leave them. I've left a ton of them. But if you're someone who likes that, there are some out there. You can contact us and we can put you in one if we think about it. I don't know if you're in any.
Yeah.
I think.
Which one?
I think we're in one together. I'm only in 2 of them.
Probably Liberty Girls.
Yeah, that one.
I'm in a gazillion group chats for Liberty and I just ignore them all.
I do too.
Yeah, but if you're a social person and you're feeling you're gonna lack that social aspect, 2 things I suggest that I did was when you start a week before all classes start in September, usually for most people, I just went and followed as many people as I could from Liberty's account, and that's how I got onto most of the group chats, so I definitely suggest doing that. The other thing I suggest, it's more of a fight though, and you're gonna have to work hard for it, is asking your local high school if you can take part in their sports. Technically, if you go down the right avenues, there's no reason for them to do that. Legally, they are allowed to do that because you pay taxes. Don't let them tell you you can't because you pay them. So I'm just saying, if you want to go through a fight, for myself, I know I'm so thankful for the opportunity I was given to join the local high school's bowling team. Best days of my life. But I had to write a letter, and then I had to go to a Board of Education meeting and watch them read the letter out loud, and go to another one where they made a rule for homeschooling students to join sports that I inspired. And then, I had to go through more checks and everything than the other students did, and that's okay. I didn't mind doing it because it was worth it.
Yeah. Also, if you're in a state that requires work permits before you're 18, you're going to have to reach out to your local school district. So it's okay to do that. It's okay to betray LUOA, if you will. You can go do stuff at your local school district because, I mean, you're going to have to.
We don't have people.
Yeah. We don't have anybody anymore. They got rid of our personal counselors, so we're on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is,
I mean,
the biggest problem I have with LUOA right now.
Yes, let's discuss this. Okay. Before, what would you say, before January?
Yeah, it was around then.
Yeah, before January of 2022, for all you new LUOA students watching this, before January of 2022, each person had an individual academic counselor that followed them on their academic journey, helped them sign up for classes, was basically a therapist, mine was. And it was great. It was fabulous. It was not a pain. January of 2022, LUOA decided to do retraining and make it so that you don't have an individual academic counselor anymore. They just have a team of academic counselors. I would like to make this a very big point. We love LUOA. Specifically, Hannah Coker, I love you. I will forever love you and thank you so much. If I ever get a speech or something somewhere, I will give you credit. But you have to specifically now ask if you want an academic counselor by name. And let me tell you, that's a little bit embarrassing to call them and have somebody answer and be like, hey, can you give me the blah, blah, blah? And then they'll be like, no.
And I feel the worst for the seniors because we have to get transcripts and stuff. And it was easy to just email my advisor and be like, can I get this? And the one that I had, he did it pretty quickly. The first one that I had, I would not have been happy with this year. But they switched them around at the end of last school year. I got a new advisor. I don't know if you did.
For me, I got one at the beginning of the summer term last year, and then they changed it at the beginning of the academic year for me again.
Okay.
Because we begged them to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a new advisor in May of 21, like the very end of the school year.
Okay, yeah, I got one too.
And I think a lot of people did because they sent all of their counselors through training, is what I heard. Probably because of the ones like mine who had no idea what they were doing and put us in way too many classes. But they did that, and then within a few months they were like, never mind, just call when you need one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I kind of understand why they did it. There's a lot of students, and but at the same time, having the one person that you could just email directly was a very big help.
Yeah, we were really close. I called the woman crying during midterms, and she helped me through it.
That's another thing. The midterms, the finals.
Yes, the midterms and the finals. I don't know if it's for you, but I know we don't have that anymore for my LUOA Algebra 2 class. It's now broken up by quarter.
All of the math classes are broken up by quarters now.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either.
I think it's okay in the regard that you don't have as much to you don't have to memorize as many formulas for each one, and they're shorter. They're only 25 as opposed to 50 questions.
True.
But at the same time, it's easier to just have 2. It's a lot less stress than having 4.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not quite sure why they did that. I also know that through LUOA, when you do a math class, it's not run through Canvas like the rest of the classes. It's run through ThinkWell through Canvas. Bad decision. I hate ThinkWell. But I know ThinkWell updated their notes and everything, and now there's so many pages long, and it's unnecessary.
I've never used the notes. So
Really?
Freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I just watched the videos and then did the interactive practice and the homework. This year, the videos were getting too long, so I just do the book pages and then the interactive practice. I'm also just taking math as an elective this year, though, so it's not like as long.
As stressful.
I only have it for a few months.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we would love to hear your thoughts on this, but Professor Berger, Need I say more of Professor Berger? Thank you very much for joining us today.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we highly recommend that you hit the like, subscribe, or share button down below.
We send our thoughts and prayers out and up to all of you.
And we'll see you next time on
His will, your life.